So if you just take a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you, you can sit cross-legged, you can have your legs outstretched, you can kneel. And before we begin, if you do have a couple of blankets, you might want to roll them up just to have them ready like a bolster. If you do have a bolster, obviously that's great, but if you don't, just roll up your blankets to make a bolster type shape. It might be quite useful as we go along, certainly for the second pose that we're going to do. And for your Shavasana at the end. Okay, so I know some of you have done Yin Yoga before. Some of you are Yin Yoga adepts and you like that type of practice. But for the sake of those of you who are joining me tonight who have never done Yin Yoga before, it's a type of practice that is much slower than our usual vinyasa-based classes. So slow, in fact, that you remain in postures for a few minutes. So we're going to hold postures for 1 to 4 minutes tonight. So the amount of poses that you'll do tonight will be far fewer than your usual vinyasa classes. The style of yoga, Yin Yoga, comes from the Taoist tradition. It's certainly obviously very influenced by the Indian tradition as well, but so it marries up quite well for those of you who have done seasonal yoga before. We take a lot of inspiration from the Taoist system, from TCM, traditional Chinese medicine as well. So it will be quite relatable. The yoga that we're going to do tonight, the poses that we're going to do tonight will target specifically the liver and gallbladder meridian lines. So just so that you are aware of what they are, we'll trace them, but they are lines of energy that flow through the body. So the Taoists, the TCM practitioners have been doing this for 5,000 years, maybe more, where they understand the body on an energetic level. And they realize that organ health is key. It's key to vitality. If your organs are inhibited or hindered in any way, then you're going to suffer. Okay, so we want to try and eliminate as much suffering as possible in our yoga practice. So they traditionally use acupressure and acupuncture to work with the health of the organs, also diet and just lifestyle choices, all of that. And with our yoga postures that we practice, we can specifically target the acupressure points within these meridian lines that run through the body. So the meridians are associated with a particular organ. With every season, with every element, you have organs that are yin and organs that are yang. And because we're doing Yin Yoga, just to give you an idea, it's all relative, okay? So, for example, a Yin Yoga practice is softer, more subtle than a vinyasa-based practice, which is very yang. Whereas running a 100-meter sprint is way more yang than a vinyasa class, okay? And, you know, lifting weights maybe would be considered to be more yin to compared to running really fast for your 100-meter sprint. So everything in life is very relative. So the organ of the liver is considered to be more yin than the yang organ of the gallbladder. So they're the two main organs that we're going to be working with tonight. And that is because the yin is more dense, okay? It's said to be more dense. And the yang organ is hollow, okay? So there's a lot of movement that happens through the more hollow organs in the body. And it's much slower through the more kind of spongier organs, more solid organs, okay? So if you consider the liver to be more solid, we can associate that with the more solid aspects of our body. So that's like the bones of the body and the connective tissue in the body. That's said to be more yin than the muscles, for example. So muscles are considered to be yang tissues, whereas bone and ligament tissue, joint capsules, all of that, your teeth, all of that is considered to be yin. All right. So that's just a kind of rough outline. And you've all seen the kind of yin and yang symbol. Okay, I'm just going to show you it very quickly now. For those of you who have not seen it, take a look at that. There we go. There's your yin yang symbol. Very familiar symbol. And this, the dark part here is considered to be the yin aspect, and the white part here is the yang. And you'll notice that there are two little dots. So within every yin aspect of life, there's always a little bit of yang, and vice versa. Okay, so the same rule applies to our yoga postures. So while we are going to be softening and holding poses for a good length of time, there will always be a little element of yang, and that means muscular effort, okay, in terms of this particular yoga practice. All right, so yeah, I think we'll get started, and I'll talk a little bit more about the meaning of what we're doing and what it's helping for you in your body and energetically as we go through the practice. Okay, so we'll just start off with some nice deep breathing. Okay, we're going to connect to the breath. So if you come back to your comfortable seat, if you've kind of gone off your block or anything like that, just come back to a position where you can sit upright with very little effort. Okay, just feel the heart lifting and opening, softening. The whole front of the body is just becoming softer and more receptive. You can have the palms of the hands open, again in that gesture of receptivity. It's quite nice to interlace the fingers, maybe, again, just in that gesture of receiving. If it feels better to turn the palms down though, that's also fine. Okay, so just close the eyes and you're just going to drop in. So the wood element governs springtime. This particular season is the natural start of the year, where we see the abundance of growth happening in nature, where we feel ready to spring forwards into the year. And it's wonderful to plant seeds at this time of year. So we're going to plant a seed of intention. So take a moment to just listen to what that intention might be for you. It could be the reason you chose to practice this class with me tonight. Perhaps it's to improve your health, your well-being. You may have some other intention that you wish. Just take a moment to discover it. It might not arise immediately, especially if you've had a lot on today. If the mind is busy, just give yourself some time. And we'll be doing a lot of that in this class, just giving everything some time. So just have this sensation of softening the body from the crown of the head, the skin of the face around the eyes. Just release the hinges of the jaw and let the tongue soften away from the roof of the mouth. Feel the shoulders drop, let them become heavy. The weight of the arms helping to draw the shoulders down towards the hips a little. Keeping the heart lifted. Feel all the layers of muscles, connective tissue, and the organs, digestive organs in the abdomen start to soften. So just moving a little deeper than the superficial surface. Softening into the hips, softening the legs, the feet, the hands. Becoming aware of the surface of the body, surfaces of the body that meet the floor. Feel a connection to the earth. So just feeling the effects of gravity upon the body as it drops down, as it softens, as you release and let go. Then as you're aware of the drawing downwards towards the earth, you may feel a rebound effect through the spine, through the center of the chest, the center of the crown of the head, lifting up. So being aware of the sky above you and the earth beneath you. Yin and yang. You begin to deepen your breath. This may be the first time today when you really thought about how you're breathing. So just relish the opportunity to focus on the breath now. As the breathing becomes more animated, you can just be aware of the movements and the sensation of stretching and opening as you fill the lungs, as you fill the belly with air, and then just bring everything back to center. You can feel a sense of a little bit of strengthening happening in the lower belly at the end of your exhale. So just get into a nice flow with the breath. In Yin Yoga, traditionally they practice, we call it the ocean breath, or similar to Ujjayi breathing. But it's done with softness, so there's not really a need to connect and to hold Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Perhaps in your transitions it would be nice for you to do that, but right now you're really softening, and you stay soft as you take your postures. Okay, and from here we'll just slowly take the legs out in front while we trace the organs, meridian lines for this season of spring, for the wood element. Okay, so we're starting with the gallbladder, and the gallbladder and the liver are both very closely associated with the eyes and vision. Okay, that's the sense that's associated with this season. And the gallbladder line starts at the corners of the eyes. So just bring the fingertips to the corners of the eyes right now. Good. And then bring them down just in front of the earlobe. And then trace your fingers up towards your temples. Okay, just up to the top of the temples. You might want to circle a little bit gently there. And then trace down towards the top of the ears. And then circle behind the ears. Just all the way behind the ears towards the base of the skull. And again, just press gently in there. It might be a bit tender. And then you're taking the fingers and running them up the back of the skull, slightly in towards the midline, ever so slightly. And then you're tracing the fingers down towards the pupil. Okay, the pupils. So if you were looking straight ahead, that's your fingers are in line with them, but you're not going all the way down to the eyebrows, just almost touching. Okay, and then just angling the fingers so that you're moving slightly inwards again towards the midline, and trace the fingers all the way back towards the back of the skull. Again, just press in here. It's worth noting actually there are 44 acupressure points within the gallbladder line. So it's a tiny organ, but very, very important energetically. So trace either side of the cervical spine down towards the tops of the shoulder. Okay, just feeling the upper trapezius. Again, you might want to just circle into the upper trapezius there. And then trace just in front of the shoulders. Okay, just underneath the armpits. Okay, and from here there's a zigzag action down the sides of the body. Okay, so you're coming towards the in between the 6th and the 7th rib. Okay, that's roughly the middle of your rib cage. Okay, and then back towards the waist, just under the ribs. Okay, and then in front, just towards the front of the hips at the hip flexors. Okay, now here, I'm going to stand up, but you don't need to. You can just extend the legs forwards and just turn to the side. So from here, you're tracing towards the piriformis muscle, and that's the bit that may well be tender, especially if you do a lot of running or a lot of sitting. Actually, ironically, if you're inactive or very active, it tends to get pretty tight. Okay, and then from here, it just moves down the IT band. Okay, I'm going to sit back down again. Down the IT band, down the outer calf muscles, down towards the outer ankle, and then down towards the 4th toe. Okay, so that's a big long line of energy for the gallbladder. And these energetic pathways, if you feel tender or tight, or sore or numb, anywhere along these lines, then it may mean that the organ is under a bit of pressure right now. So all of the poses that we're going to do that will help to press and squeeze all of these areas in the body, that's really going to help to improve the health of that organ. Okay, so liver line goes from the inside of the big toe, at the toenail. I was going to say fingernails, the toenail. And then this line of energy runs along the inside of the bone, okay, the metatarsal, and then in between the bones of the big toe and the second toe. Okay, so find that pocket. Okay, again, you can press into it. All right, and then you come towards the inner ankle and then up the inner calf. Okay, up the inner knee, up the inner thigh, right to the groin, okay, at the center. And then it kind of moves out a little bit, out just underneath the belly button, and then up towards the 9th rib. And the 9th rib, you can kind of feel for the floating ribs, so it's just above that. All right, and you can have a little feel around there. Might be quite general. If you do it with 3 fingers, you'll be hitting it at some point. Okay, and that's the end of the liver line. So the liver is such a big, important organ in the body, but actually energetically, it's said to not be as potent and as powerful as the gallbladder line. Okay, because it's very simple. You can see that it just traces up there, and that's it. All right, but the liver line, the gallbladder line is much more complex. Okay, so with all of that in mind, we're going to revisit the meridian lines quite a bit in our practice. So we're going to come to our first posture, coming to child's pose. Okay, nice and simple, nice and easy. If you need to, you're padding out the knees with a blanket. So it's up to you. In all of these poses, I don't care about aesthetics at all. All that I care about is that this pose or these poses feel good for you in your body right now. Okay, so please approach the poses with the same intention as always, with kindness, non-harming. Okay, and please don't be concerned about how it looks at all. Okay, now we're going to hold this for a couple of minutes. A variation that you can do for this is to just press the elbows down and lift the hands up, and just cup the hands a little and spread the fingers wide. And you can just slide the fingers along the temples up towards the skull and just lean the head into the hands. Okay, it has a really lovely releasing effect in the neck. It also starts to stimulate the gallbladder line. Okay, the gallbladder lines are round about the skull. Okay, just a little bit. And the gallbladder, actually all organs have an emotional attachment to them. They have metaphorical meanings to them. And the gallbladder is said to be very vital in terms of decision making. And if you think about, if you've got a really big decision to make, sometimes you get your head in your hands, okay, if you don't know what to do, if you're a bit indecisive. So by stimulating the meridian line strongly, it helps you to see things more clearly, okay? It helps you to kind of clear the pathway. If you feel blockages there, it clears the pathway to allow you to make that important decision. So you just go ahead and hold that and breathe nice and deeply. Okay, and with each exhale, you're softening, deepening into the pose. Okay, I'm just going to put my little timer on. Okay, another nice variation, if it doesn't feel good for you to put your head in your hands, is just to have the head resting on the floor. You can still have the elbows forwards, but just take the hands towards the upper shoulders and that meaty muscle, the upper trapezius at the tops of the shoulders. You can just have a little bit of a massage there if you like. Maybe even around the sides of the neck where you trace the continuation of the gallbladder line. So these poses that we're going to do specifically target the gallbladder and liver lines, but in addition to that, you're also supporting and nourishing the other organs in the body too. So like I said, it's a system. So you have organs that, such as the heart and the lungs, their meridian lines runs in the arms, also the large and small intestine run in the back of the arms. You have the kidney and the bladder meridian lines, so they're the front and the back of the body, and the spleen, pancreas, stomach, again, they run up the front of the body. So you're always stimulating the other meridian lines too. But what's really important is really where your mind goes. Okay, so that has your attention, especially in yin, because we're holding the poses for so long. If you can harness your attention on these meridian lines, then it really does help to heal the organs very powerfully. Okay, so the poses themselves, the acupressure aspect of the poses themselves, and your mind, your attention is very, very important. Your intention is very important, and also the breath. So the longer you hold the breath, or the longer you hold your attention on the breath, then the more potent this practice is going to be for you, because it just helps to clear the mind. It helps you to create a bit of space. Okay, where you can create a space for healing and good health. Okay, so just very gently come out of the pose. All right, and from here, we're going to walk forwards and come into Sphinx. Okay, now if Sphinx isn't a good option for you, then you can either, and if lying in the front isn't an option for you, then you can just take it back to child's pose, but do a different variation, maybe hands behind towards the feet. But if it feels okay for you, you're coming into Sphinx pose like this. Okay, now there's a little bit of yang action in the back body. So the mid back, upper back a little to help send the heart forwards and up. There's a little bit of yang action in the arms to connect them a bit more firmly to the ground. Also, what you can do if you do have a bolster or your rolled up blankets, it makes it a little more intense to have something like that underneath the rib cage. Okay, so this will stimulate the end of the liver line, towards the end of the liver line, and also the gallbladder line wraps around, and there's an acupressure point, a really strong one between the 6th and the 7th rib. Okay, so just having a little bit of support or a rolled up blanket underneath is going to feel quite powerful, pressure wise, and therefore energetically. Okay, so just relax into this. At any point, you're welcome to close the eyes. Okay, so you're using it as an opportunity to be more meditative in your practice. Again, you're meditating on the idea of intention, where you're sending the mind. If you feel it, unwanted energy creeping upwards towards the shoulders, the neck, the face, simply notice it and then let it go. So you can just soften, release it. Whenever your mind goes there, then you can let it go. If you want to add a little more yang to the practice, you can come into seal pose, so you're taking the hands as wide as your mat and you're straightening the arms, okay? But only do this if you feel supported in the pose, supported enough to hold it with a good degree of comfort. So the upper body, there's a little bit of yang there. Keep the lower body very yin. Okay, that just means soft. You're letting go of any muscular effort there. You're just feeling the weight of the bones drop down towards the earth. Again, just soften around about the shoulders, the neck, the face, the hinges of the jaw. Always make sure there's a little bit of a gap between the teeth, upper and lower. The front of the throat, soften there. So you don't really need to be holding the head up. That probably doesn't serve you well in this pose. You can always take your gaze down. Nice. Okay, and just slowly lower from this. Okay, pause for a moment. You can actually bring your head all the way to the floor, create a little pillow for your forehead. And you can shake your hips out a little bit side to side. You can do windshield wiper pose, side to side. Just make sure you have a little bit of room. Okay, and then just release. From here, we'll come into a half straddle. So take your right leg and bend the knee. Okay, taking it out to the side. So the arms are still in Sphinx pose, or back in Sphinx pose if you've been taking seal. Okay, and when you come into this pose, you're starting to get into the tissues around about the groin, the inner thigh, quite deeply into the right hip. And that may leave you feeling a little bit tense because it might feel quite tight. Okay, so only take the knee as high as is comfortable for you in the first instance. You may also want to have a bit of cushioning underneath that knee if it's going on the floor. And then you're letting everything soften. So you're giving it time. That's a key ingredient in your yin practice. So gravity, time, and the breath, 3 very important ingredients in your yin practice. Okay, so we're just holding this for a couple of minutes. And again, if this becomes too intense for you, around about the shoulders, or around about the neck, or maybe even in the arms, if you've been doing any weightlifting today, I was coming back from Marks and Spencer's today, then you might be feeling it in your biceps. So if it's too intense, you can always just let the head go, and you can take your gaze over to the left side. So this is quite nice as well because it gets into almost the entirety of the liver meridian line, up through the inner channel of the leg, up into the groin, up into the belly, ending at the 9th rib. Okay. So keep a nice rhythm with your breathing. While everything's very soft, it doesn't mean that your breathing pattern should go back to kind of automatic state. Usually when that happens, the mind is very, very busy. So bring your attention back to the breath. It's your harness for the mind. It's like brain training, helping to clear a path for you to heal. Okay, so from here, we'll slowly inhale, lift the head if you had lowered it, and then support yourself as you prepare to do the other side. Okay, so just gently take the leg back and do the other side. So taking the knee up, you can take it as high as the hip. You can take your ankle out so that it's in line with the knee. And again, you can be up on your forearms in a sphinx-like pose, applying a little bit of yang just to get you into a position that feels good for you, that feels supportive. And you're always approaching your stretch with the Goldilocks principle in mind. So not too little, not too much. You want it to feel just right. Good. So you can maintain this, having a little bit of a back bend as well, lifting the heart, just softening the heart, the throat, the face, the jaw. Or if it's getting to the point where you feel a bit fatigued around about the shoulders, then just acknowledge that and let it go. Just feel the connection, deeper connection to the earth as you let the head drop. And you can have the forehead directly on the back of the hand, or you can look over to the right side. Breathing deep. Okay, so you just stay there and we're going to come and see how you're getting on. Good. So never staying longer than is comfortable for you. We'll be preparing shortly to come out, but for now just keep breathing nice and deeply, smoothly, listening to the soft sound like a distant ocean of your breath. It's quite nice in springtime, as it's the wood element, to imagine the sound of the wind rustling in the trees. Maybe channeling that kind of sound for your breath. Okay. So when you're ready, you just very slowly lifting the head up on an inhale, and just very carefully lengthen your left leg. And we're going to take a counter pose. So a nice counter pose might be just a little rock in the hips, or it could be some more of this action, the windshield wiper pose, or you might prefer to come back into child's pose. Okay, whatever suits you right now for a minute. Okay. So from here, gently come forwards again. Now, if you weren't comfortable lying on your front, don't worry, we're only coming here momentarily. Because now we're going to come on to our side. Okay, so I'm going to turn around so that I can show you this from the other side. So this is a yin-like variation on side plank. Okay, so take your right arm, let it be level with the short edge of your mat, and then just roll onto your right hip. Okay, so it's sometimes known as slouch asana. Really technical, traditional name. Or it can be a yin-like fascistasana, which sounds more professional, side plank. Okay, so the idea here is to create that hammock-like shape with your side body, with the right ribs. Okay, now it might be uncomfortable for some of you in your right hip joint. Okay, it might not feel too clever, especially if you're on a hard floor like this. So in that case, get a blanket and pad it out. And sometimes when I'm doing a yin practice, I just have a blanket out anyway on my mat. And I keep my socks on, my jumper on, scarf. Okay, now you can have your left leg straight. You can just bend the knee and maybe rest the foot on the floor. You can take the foot behind you if that feels more supportive for you. But you're allowing this right shoulder to hunch up towards the ear. Okay, not very often I'll say that, but just let it hunch up towards the ear. And you can really feel the side body just starting to open. Okay, all around the ribs, especially when you reconnect, if you haven't already, to the breath. So keep that lovely steady rhythm of your breathing. In yin, we are very much targeting the more dense tissues in the body, the connective tissue, the fascia in particular. So fascia is like a whole body stocking. And when you breathe deeply like this, it basically serves the entirety of the sheet or sheets, plural, of connective tissue that are woven all the way around the body. Okay, when you breathe in, you can feel it. You can certainly feel it a lot around about your belly. You can feel it especially here in the rib cage, but it will be having very positive effects in helping to open the connective tissue, to help release any blockages, any lesions, any tightness that you might be experiencing there. So really relax the waist. Just let the belly soften. Again, don't worry at all about aesthetics. Again, I can hardly see you. When I came over, I could barely see any of you anyway, so it doesn't matter how it looks, but what does matter is how it feels. Okay, so just a few more breaths here, just really soften any areas where you're feeling any unnecessary, unwanted tension. Again, when you acknowledge it, it just tends to evaporate anyway. Okay. Now you can either roll onto your front and do a child's pose or any counter pose that feels good, or you can lie on your back and hug your knees in before the other side. Okay, so giving you lots of choice today. I'm going to come around to the other side. You stay as you are. Okay, so just letting the left shoulder rise up. you're resting on the forearm, there's a little bit of pressure in the elbow. So again, if that doesn't feel too good, you might just want to, in fact, if you come all the way up like this, you can do that. I should have offered that on the other side. That's a bit of a stronger stretch for anyone who wanted it, but this is quite nice, especially for this time of night. It's one of those poses you can just imagine doing when you're on a lounger on a beach. So you can all imagine that sun beating down on you. It's relaxing and softening. Okay, making any little adjustments, micro adjustments to the pose that will help to support you. It will help to make the pose feel more comfortable. So within the fascia, the body of the fascia itself, it's made up of cells, but in between the sheets of connective tissue are it's kind of gel-like substances, almost like what are they called? The cling film wrapping, but the ones with the wee pockets that you burst. It's kind of like that, and they're filled with gel. And sometimes the gel can be a little too stiff and sticky, and it kind of causes a kind of gelling and kind of knots in the connective tissue. And you feel it after an injury. You can feel it very acutely after an injury, but you might feel, when you wake up in the morning and you try and do your sun salutations that you may have done at an evening class the night before, you'll notice a big difference. So as the day goes on, your body gets warmer. The connective tissue really responds to temperature, but also it responds to movement. So as the day goes on, the friction that's created in the body will help the health of the fascia. But when you're very still overnight, then the fascia bundles just all kind of merge together, and you feel that's where the stiffness, the tightness comes from. So yin yoga first thing in the morning is really wonderful. That challenges the ego big time. Okay, so very gently you're coming out of this pose. Okay, and taking any counter pose that feels good for you, quite like a child's pose after this one, or you're more than welcome to take a down dog. Okay, so a little bit of yang within the yin is good. Just keep your breath flowing. Okay, and if you're in down dog, just come down to kneeling. Okay, and then if you're in child's pose, you can come up. Okay, now this is where you might need an array of props handy. Okay, so we're coming into shoelace pose. Okay, so I'm just going to mirror you now. So you're taking your right leg over your left. So your left leg is straight out in front of you. Okay, and you're taking it over as best you can to have the knees kind of stacked. All right, if it doesn't feel good to do that, then you can just take the knee out wherever does feel comfortable. What might feel better for you is to sit on a block. It might feel better to have something under the knee. It might not feel too good to have the legs straight. Okay, but if you can, you're hugging that right foot in towards the left hip a little. Okay, now from here you're taking the hands either side of the body. You might want to have your blocks handy or something to support you if the hands don't comfortably reach. If it feels okay at this point to fold forwards, then you can do so, but approach it really, really softly with awareness, with the breath, just listening for feedback from the body. You're getting to that sweet spot in your stretch. You don't want it to not feel anything at all, and you don't want to feel like it's too much, that you just move way past your comfort zone. Somewhere in the middle, somewhere where you feel a little bit challenged, but still very much able to relax and to maintain a nice steady breath. Okay, if you're able, you're letting the head go. Good. So letting gravity take over. Feel the body just melting downwards towards the ground. You are not actively doing that, just allow it to happen. Okay, and then if at any point that does not feel beneficial to your spine or anywhere else in the body, please back off a little. Just be light with yourself, make an adjustment. You can take the foot all the way out into a Janusasana type of shape if that feels better for you. That might be better for you if you have any hip issues or anything like that. Okay, or knee issues. Now, while this is a hip opener on the right side, it is also might target quite strongly, it certainly does for me, in the gallbladder line on the left side, all the way down the outer left leg towards the foot. Might also start to feel it a little in your hamstrings too. And certainly in the back, in the spine. Okay, so just holding for a few minutes here. You can also have a blanket or a cushion just laid on top of your right leg, or you can cradle the front of the right knee and lift the heart up. So it's a little more yang, but it might be that it just serves you better sitting like that. Okay. But the idea is that you find a pose and you stay there for a length of time. The tissues really start to respond, they start to listen, maybe not straight away, but there may just be a shift that happens after a minute or so. After a minute or so, or maybe after 3 minutes, maybe after half an hour. Don't worry, I'm not going to hold you here for half an hour, but sometimes it takes that. Okay, very, very gently support yourself to come up to rise. Lovely. Okay, now from here, we're going to take the right leg, lift it up and over. Take your time, slowly does it. Okay, lean over to the left, and then take your left leg back. Take it back a little. Bend your right knee, externally rotating the leg, and bring your foot in towards you. Okay, so just pause for a moment in this pose. Pause for a moment. Feel the rebound effect of the energy that's flowing back into the right hip. Okay, and what we're going to do here, I need to turn around because I can't take my leg back. We're going to come into half pigeon. Okay, so again, you may want to use a couple of props for this. So start to gently straighten out your right leg. So hands either side of your mat. Stay high for this right now. And again, just take any props that you have handy. I've got my cushion here. You might take that underneath the hip. Okay, you might want to have a bolster handy or another couple of cushions or your rolled up blanket and lay it out in front of you. But as you hold this back bend for a few breaths, just feel the weight of the back leg drop down, feel the hips starting to sink, feel the belly really soften, and go as slowly as you can to lower down into sleeping swan. So force of habit, I called it pigeon, but in yin yoga it's called swan. Okay. So you can have this, that bolster there and just rest your chest on it, rest your head on it. You can explore this position for a few breaths before you eventually take the head all the way down. If you're not taking the head all the way down, please don't worry, you can remain upright. So just stay there, focusing on the breath, strong targeting of the gallbladder line. Okay, and these meridians, you're encouraging just a very gentle flow of energy. You can be out of balance either with too much energy rushing through, or you can be out of balance with blockages, or grantis as they're called in Sanskrit. And we want to get rid of these blockages, and most of us do have blockages somewhere, aches or pains somewhere along these meridian lines. So it's okay, it's normal, it's part of the human condition. We just need to remain joyful, accepting of the situation, and know that you're really helping to nourish yourself as you do this practice. So it's said that the gallbladder does the most work between 11 and 1 at night, and then the liver between 1 and 3. So it's important, usually important to take rest, to be asleep by 11 o'clock so that these organs can perform and do their thing. It's a natural detoxing element, obviously, that the liver has for you. But amongst that, many, many other functions, 500 plus functions that the liver has. But the one that we most commonly think of is this detoxing action. So it's nice just to consider that we are assisting in this process of cleansing, cleansing the inner body, cleansing your energy. It's wonderful that to think that the liver can regenerate. So if somebody has liver disease and they have to take away, it can completely regenerate itself. So it's wonderful to know, to realize that you have that power within you, always for regeneration, for renewal. And again, that's what springtime is all about. And again, if it feels uncomfortable to hold this pose, you can always take a variation. We're going to hold it for another minute, or just under a minute. So if it feels better for you just to lean back instead, taking reclined swan, you can do that. It targets very similar area in the body. So it's important to note as well that if you feel any pins and needles, or if you're feeling numb anywhere, then don't continue to hold, don't persevere. Okay, take an inhale, lifting the head up. And from here, very slowly, roll onto the side. Swing the right leg around, okay, so that you're leaning the body back. So lean the body back on the hands, and we'll do windshield wiper pose. Slowly does it. So So the feet are wide, about as wide as your mat. Just moving very gently side to side. Okay, and then from here we'll rise up for half shoelace on the other side. Okay, so taking the left leg, bending the knee, and making sure that you're comfortable. This side may have different qualities, it may feel very different. Maybe this knee isn't so good for you, so just see how it goes. Again, approaching the pose with the idea of ahimsa, non-harming. You're stacking the knees as best you can. The hands start off behind you. Now, if this right leg that's extended is uncomfortable, if it's uncomfortable behind the knee, say you're prone to hyper mobility, definitely have something underneath it. Okay, so just wedge a towel, anything that you've got, just wedge it underneath that knee for now. Okay, so you're going to hold this pose for about 3 minutes. So you can take your time and ease your way into it. You don't need to have the spine extended and straight as you enter into this. In yin, it's nice just to move in a way that's very natural, very instinctive for you. And when you're coming into a forward fold anyway, the spine, it wants to go into flexion, which means it wants to round. And because we're moving so slowly, because we're holding the poses for a good length of time, but having the attitude of softness and non-harming, then it's very safe to do this. Okay, but if you experience any pinching, any real discomfort, then please back off. And sorry if I sound like I'm repeating myself, but just because I can't see you, I can tell if any of it's uncomfortable, but I trust you. So nice fluid breath. Make sure your breath doesn't become stagnant or stuck. You're flowing with it beautifully. Just really starting to tune into the idea that when you breathe, you're actually maneuvering and manipulating the connective tissue in all directions, all across the body. So probably number one benefit physically that you are getting from this practice is ultimately going to be increased mobility. Okay, increased mobility in the connective tissue, in the fascia, this body stocking wraps around all of the muscles, it wraps around all of the organs, it's underneath the layers of the skin. And it actually, it's got another name, interstitium. And that's the stuff that's in between. Bubble wrap, that was the name of it. I could hear some of you shouting that over the internet. But it actually makes up 25% of your body mass, which is just remarkable. Okay, so you can just let the head go. You have a real tendency to want to hold the head up all the time, especially because I'm talking to you as well and you'll be wanting to see what I'm doing, but just let your head go. Even if you're quite upright in your pose, let your head go so that at least you're having some form of flexion within the spine. And when the spine is in flexion, when it rounds, you're going back into that primal curve that you had as an embryo, as a child, as a baby, a newborn. And it has a really profound effect on your nervous system. So moving back into parasympathetic mode, rest and digest, where we really all need to hang out way more. Okay, and then from here, slowly inhale, lift the head up. And take the leg out. Nice and slowly lean over to the right and then take your leg back and then bend your right knee and take that foot inwards towards the ground. Okay, and just pause. Just pause, relax, breathe nice and deeply. You might feel a flush, a gentle flushing of energy through that left hip. You might feel it across your lower back. And then from here, lengthen your right leg all the way back. No, that's my right leg, your left leg. All the way back. Coming into half swan. Okay, so you're starting off in a back bend. Might feel quite yang-like. You can have the hands on blocks if you like, or you can just have them extended forwards and not go so deep into your back bend, but just for a moment, feel that energy lifting the heart, and then really begin to relax the back leg, relax the hips down, soften towards the floor. Feel the effects of gravity come over the body as you then very, very slowly walk the hands forwards. Now, I know that a lot of you practice this pose a lot, but just pay attention to the movements around about the hip joints as you enter into the pose. Feel the connective tissue that wraps around your hips, just slowly starting to open, starting to adjust to this new shape. And then you can start to lower onto the forearms, hang out here for a little while, just start to feel or continue to feel those effects of gravity on the bones of the body as they want to lower almost magnetically towards the floor. Okay, if the body doesn't want to come all the way to the floor comfortably, then certainly use your bolster, your makeshift bolster with your rolled up blankets or your cushions. Good. And just observe how the body feels. Observe where you feel this specifically. Okay, there's a specific target to this pose. It's around about the outer hip, in particular, right into the piriformis where the gallbladder line. It's a major acupressure point there. If you're not feeling that sensation there, you may just want to come out of the forward folding or sleeping swan and then take it back into the reclined version. Okay, that might help you to feel the pose more acutely in the outer hip, which is the area that we are looking to target. The hips in general do tend to get quite blocked for all kinds of reasons. Again, it could be that we're really active or perhaps a little too inactive. But I'm sure most of you have heard the saying, loads of yoga teachers say it, that the hips are like the emotional junk drawer of your body. We tend to repress our emotions way, way down there, and it could manifest in tight hips. And you can kind of see that in maybe in yourself, maybe in other people. It's interesting to note where you hold your tension in your body and why. We're investigating, shining the light on our yoga practice. And we do it all with compassion and a little bit of humour sprinkled in there too. So keeping it light. Because as we know, we are not our emotions. We're not our body either. We're not our thoughts. There's something greater than all of that. And actually, this time of year, you may be more inclined to focus on more spiritual aspects of your life. It's said that the liver houses the soul within the body, according to Taoism. It's an interesting concept. That the spirit has a place to reside in the body. The more physical aspect of your spirit. Okay. So when you're ready, you can take an inhale and lift the head up. Okay, and then very slowly, you can take it back and come back into your windshield wiper pose, or if you like, come on into down dog. And do so with a lot of kindness, because it may feel quite interesting. And you'll feel this flushing of energy around about the hip, around about the lower back. And the movement of energy in the yang organ is down the body. So we're thinking about down the side of the body. You might feel it traveling all the way down towards the foot. Okay. Okay, and from here, just come down onto your knees if you're in down dog. Okay. So we're going to bring the legs around for our last pose before Shavasana. Coming into butterfly. It's another forward fold, again to help prepare you for a nice deep rest. And we're only going to hold this for a couple of minutes, okay? Because I want to give you a nice relaxation. Okay, so you can take the head down and let the head drop. If it doesn't feel good for you to do that, please just take the hands behind you and keep the heart lifted. You can just feel the weight of the legs. Imagine the knees are made of gold and they're dropping down towards the floor. Okay, you're not pushing that, you're just feeling the weight to help open. It might feel better for you to take the feet a little further away from the body. Okay, so just notice where you feel that. Again, quite strong in the hips, quite strong in the outer thighs. And you can bring the thumbs in towards the inner ankles, maybe even in towards the inner arches, and then towards the big toe. Okay, you can just pressing into the liver line, the beginning of the liver line around about the foot. Can feel quite nourishing to do. Okay, but if you just prefer to be still, go ahead and be still. Okay. So preparing to move out of your pose, just very slowly inhale, lift the head up. Walk the hands back in if they were forwards, and as though you were closing a book, just take your hands to your outer knees and bring the legs back in. Lovely. You can just rub the legs a little. And down towards the feet. Okay. And from here, wrap yourself up nice and warm. Make sure that you do feel very warm, very toasty as we prepare for Shavasana. So get really comfortable as well. Maybe a blanket under the head and over the body. Or maybe you're using a blanket for under your knees. Definitely do that if you feel that your lower back might feel a little tender. If you have an eye pillow or something to cover the eyes, do that, or you can just switch off your light. Wonderful. So the beauty of practicing this way in your own home is that you can take Shavasana for as long as you like, or as long as you can. You might be restricted in other ways, but if you can, then you're more than welcome just to continue to lie here, even after I ring the bell. You can just continue your Shavasana for as long as you like. If you're in your bedroom and you were going to go to bed, you can just get into your bed just now for your relaxation. So feel like you're able to take up as much space as you like. Don't be restricted by any obstacles in your way, just push them out of the way. And let yourself rest unhindered. Feel the breath starting to settle as you let go of the efforts with the breath. Notice your breathing is becoming very subtle. There are longer periods of stillness in between the breath cycles. Feel your connection to the floor behind the heels, the calf muscles, the buttocks, the lower back, the shoulder blades, the back of the arms, back of the hands, and the back of the head. Again, just allowing gravity to do the work here. You do not need to apply any more effort with your body, with your breath, with your mind. You can simply bathe in the wonderful effects of this practice, this very slow practice. Very soft practice. And as you lie here, you can once again take your mind along these energetic pathways for the organs of this season. And as you do it, feel the nourishment of the energy that you've created flowing through you unhindered, clear pathway. If you like, you can also imagine a vibrant light green colour, like the green of a new bud, a new sprout, new growth. So take your awareness to the corners of the eyes. Really soften your eyes now. Soften around the eyes, all of the little muscles around the eyes. And then take your attention towards your ears. Soften the ears. Feel your attention rising up towards the temples. And then back down to the top of the ears. Relaxing behind the ears. Circling your awareness down towards the base of the skull. Circling back up and over the whole of the skull towards the eyebrows. And then back over the forehead towards your midline, softening along the way. To the base of the skull, then either side of the neck, really softening the neck. And tracing your awareness across the top of the shoulders, releasing any tension there. And front of the shoulders, circling in front of the shoulders down towards the ribcage. And then feel the lines of energy moving towards the center of the ribcage, towards the front, right in the middle, and then down towards the waist. Really soften around your waist. And then towards the hips, and feel the weight of the hips release. Circling back towards the buttocks. The back of the hip joints, soften and release. And then trace awareness down the outer edges of the thighs towards the knees. And then down the outer calves towards the ankles. And then down towards fourth toes. Again, just feel a flow of energy from the eyes all the way to the toes. This color green, revitalizing, rejuvenating, regrowth. Feel that nourishment flowing through you. And then trace your awareness up the body, starting at the inner big toes, softening there, softening at the top of the feet, then the arches, the inner ankles, tracing awareness up the inseam of the legs up towards the groin. Just feeling that free flow of energy from the foot to the groin. And then up the front of the torso, up towards the ninth ribs, with the rib cage at the front. And again, feel that flow of energy rising upwards all the way up. Feeling these pathways unhindered, completely free, with the gentle free flowing of energy to help nourish the liver, the gallbladder. And from here, you can start to take your hands and place them over your liver, okay, where your liver lies. So just take your hands over to the right side of the body. So the liver runs from the right side and runs across towards the center of the abdomen. And it's tucked underneath the front ribs. And if it's uncomfortable to place one hand on top of the other, just clasp the hands and let the elbows relax. Feel the weight of the shoulders. Again, the head is still dropped back. So the liver lies here, the gallbladder is tucked under, behind the liver. And again, visualize that lovely, vibrant green colour. Feel it infusing all of the cells of your liver and gallbladder. Take a moment of gratitude for all that they do to support your life, to support your growth, to support your ability to look forwards, to be optimistic, to plan ahead, to make good decisions. And feeling that rebirth of spring within you. So whenever you're ready now, you can just take the arms back out to the sides and start to move your fingers a little. Start to move your toes. Gently start to deepen your breath, feeling a sense of renewed energy. And before you move too much, when you breathe in, you can imagine that wonderful vibrant green infusing your entire body. So on the inhale, you can send the breath all the way down to the tips of the fingers, the tips of the toes. When you breathe out, you can let go of anything that does not serve you, any excess tension that's been lingering, let it go. Deep breath in again, deep, vibrant breath in. And exhale. And one more. And then start to circle the wrists, circle the ankle joints. And taking the arms up and overhead. Give yourself a wonderful stretch. Nice yawn. And you can hug the knees in. And you can rock side to side. Make any movement that your body is calling for right now. It could be happy baby pose. It might be a twist. So invite movement in. Well done. Okay, and just roll onto your side. Feel the hands against the ground as you support yourself. Slowly, slowly come up to rise. Bring the hands to the heart when you get there, with the eyes closed. So tap in again to your intention that you set at the beginning of class. And every time you remind yourself of this intention, it's like you're watering the seed so that it can grow, so that it can come to fruition. So let that stay with you. And we'll finish all together with 3 Oms. So nice deep breath in. Om. as you open the arms, open your eyes, bring the hands to the crown, the third eye, and back to the heart. Om Shanti, everyone. Thank you all so much for practicing with me.